Hey, welcome back to Crimes and Closets. This is Christy in my closet in St. Louis.
And this is Beth in my closet in North Carolina.
Happy Monday, Beth.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Somebody else there?
Happy
Monday, Christy.
See my face immediately after I said it. It's like,
how's your day going, sugar?
That came out weird.
It's cute. Well, I love an accent, even a fake one.
This is obviously fake. How's it going?
Good. It's going great over in these parts. I have an order of business that I would like to discuss with all of you listening ears. So as you know, we record way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are getting into the situation in which we are coming up on researching September.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to know what you guys think of Serial Killer September. We've done it every year. So this will be our 4th year.
I think it'll be our fifth
year.
Serial Killer, yeah.
5th Serial Killer September. Because we don't cover serial killers. If you're new here, we do not cover serial killers ever.
Mm-hmm.
Except for in September, because we had a lot of people ask for them and it just kind of became a thing. But we have noticed that sometimes our audience listens go down in September.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking maybe some people don't love them because we don't. We do not love them.
Right. So if you don't love them, then we won't do them.
Exactly. Yeah, we will just do. We can maybe come up with something else. Or just do regular episodes throughout September. So we just want to know from you guys what you think. So if you would be so kind, please pop on over to our Instagram or Facebook, in which I will put a poll where you can tell us what you think about Serial Killer September. And I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but I think majority might rule.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
so
it should.
We'll keep talking about it, and I'll keep putting polls up and stuff like that as we go along throughout the month of May. But just be thinking about it. What do you love? What do you hate? And do you want to do it again this year? And maybe we take a break and people get upset about it and we got to bring it back. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the option is, but we're open to you guys. We want to give you what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So come and find us on the socials or send us an email or whatever is your preferred communication style and let us know. What do you think about serial killers? What do you think about September?
Yeah, and the funny part about this is that we decided to ask this in this intro that we're recording, and yesterday somebody sent something in for September.
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny.
I will say too, over on Patreon we do Survivor September. Mm-hmm. That I think we will keep.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
I think everybody likes that one, even though, in fairness, it's just as gruesome as serial killers. If not more. So
yeah, I want to say that my case last year for Survivor September was more gruesome than anything I've ever done.
Yeah. I believe
so. What happened to that lady? Do you remember? Her head
yes. Oh my gosh.
Off? Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway.
We'll keep Survivor September, but I think we'll keep that over on the Patreon. So what you Monday guys, what do you want? Do you want us to keep serial killers? Do you want us to only do one serial killer? Take a break for the year and see how it goes? Let us know.
Yeah. And because we've tried different formats too. We were doing two. We'd do a background, and then the next episode would be the murders and all that kind of stuff. And then people were like, "No, we want one episode." So then it was one really long episode. So maybe it's just a format that doesn't work for us because it takes a lot more time.
Correct.
So
it takes a lot more time. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So that is my business that I had. But do you have any business? You just got back from Florida.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go to a wedding.
Oh.
My niece is getting married.
Oh, how nice.
Yes, I'm excited in my hometown. So it's going to be really fun. And she has 2 little twin boys who are cute as daggone buttons, and they're going to be in the wedding. It's just going to be precious.
Aw, that is going to be precious.
Mm-hmm.
Is that this coming weekend then? For you?
Yes.
Yeah? Because that's graduation for me.
Yes, that's why I can't come to graduation because I'm coming to a wedding.
Right. Yes, I know. we've big things happening this
Graduation.
weekend.
Well, you win.
No. Weddings are
Graduation?
amazing.
Well, yes, but
It's
there's only one graduation. People can have more than one wedding. Not that I'm saying I want her to, but I'm just saying.
True.
Yeah, that's
true,
awesome.
True. So anyway, but yeah, no, nothing else is really happening. So I don't know if we just want to get right into it or.
All right, let's have a crime.
Okay. Okay, so for this case, we are heading to Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Kalamazoo.
Yes. It's the southern part of the state, like kind of straight west of Detroit, just in case you need that visual.
Oh, in Michigan. Okay. Gosh,
Yes.
Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you just have that Upper Peninsula one?
Yeah,
or
I've
not
had
just,
a couple in
yeah.
Michigan, and actually my next case is in Michigan.
Oh, wow. You already know your next case. Look at you. Oh, wait. Probably. Yes. Get it. Anyways. Our closet sister, Allison, sent this to us on Instagram. She lives in the area. Hello, Allison. She lives in the area, and she was out on the night that this incident occurred. And once you know, like, the story, you'll understand why it was super scary for her to even be out that night.
Okay.
And just, like, super close to encountering this truly evil person. So.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and I'm also going to start out a little bit differently today, just because I'm going to give you a little bit of background on our perpetrator. Because I think it's important for you to like understand him a little bit, but also I'm going to tell you all about our victims.
No.
Yes, victims of this incident at the end.
Okay.
Because I want their stories and who they are to be fresh in your mind when this is over and not him.
I like that.
Okay. All right. Jason Dalton, at the time of this story, which is in February of 2016, is a 45-year-old man. He was born in Indiana and grew up there. He and his family moved to Kalamazoo when he was in high school. There, he became the captain of the football team and had a great life. He married his wife, Carol, in 1995, and they would have 2 children, one in 2001 and one in 2006, 2, I believe, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Jason was an insurance adjuster, and Carol worked for an investment firm named Raymond James, if you've heard of it. I always like to look when they say investment firm. I'm like, is it one that I am close with?
Yeah. I've never heard of Raymond James, by the way.
Oh, you haven't? Well, maybe I have because it's, I think it's based in Tampa.
Oh.
Because it's Raymond James Stadiums where the Bucks play. And so I think maybe because I lived there, I know of it. So, by all accounts, they were living the American dream and were very happy. Jason had a love of cars and at some point began collecting guns as well. They had a break-in on their property and a lot of tools had been stolen. And Jason was determined to make sure like nothing like that happened again. And so over the years, he accumulated upwards of 15 guns, all legally obtained.
Okay. It's a lot.
And it is a lot. But I will say there was a 2020 on this. When I was watching it, one of the investigators or, I don't know, police officer or whatever has just stated, like, that's not unusual for where he lives. Like,
I was just going to say that. It seems like in Michigan, that's, like, prevalent.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of hunters and outdoorists.
Yeah, I'm sure there's pockets of that in, like, different states and stuff. So just putting it out there that was not an unusual thing for where he lived. Jason decided to become an Uber driver to make some extra cash to save for a vacation. He had only been driving for about a week when he went on a rampage.
What?
Yes. On February 20th, 2016, Jason met up with a good friend of his that afternoon. The two went to 3 different gun shops, which was like something they did. This was like a hobby of theirs. The employees said that he was in good spirits and chatted with them. Jason bought a black jacket and a holster at one of them. He left his friend and decided to turn on the Uber app and take some rides. Jason had his dog in the back seat of the car, which is unusual and I'm sure actually like not allowed with Uber at this point. But like, I don't know, 2016, maybe there hadn't been like instances like that for them to be like, okay, let's not have our dogs in our car or our children or whatever. Uber started in 2009, which I didn't realize that it started that early for some reason.
Yeah.
Didn't become super popular, I think, until 2012. So by 2016, it had been out there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but like I said, probably took a while for them to get like every little requirement that they needed in place to make this, the experience that we now have. He went to pick up one fare, but the girl refused to enter the car with a dog in the backseat, which I don't blame her. And around 4:25 p.m., he picked up another ride, and his name was Matt Mellon. Matt had left his car at a friend's house the night before and was headed back to go pick it up. Matt was fine with the dog and proceeded to sit in the front seat with Jason. He was like, actually, I'm a dog lover. Like, totally fine, whatever. Matt states that just after he got in the car, Jason's phone rang and he answered it, and it was over Bluetooth, and he could hear basically the whole conversation, and it was Jason's son calling him about dinner that night. It's 4:30. It's like getting close to the time where maybe he'd be coming home. I don't know if he was calling to like check in or like ask him what's going to be for dinner or whatever, but the call was about dinner that night. It lasted just a couple of minutes, and then they hung up. Immediately upon hanging up the phone, Jason floored it, like just started speeding down this residential road. He began driving very erratically and swerving. He even sideswiped a parked car.
Oh my.
There were calls coming in about an erratic driver and hit and runs. Matt is in the front seat pleading with Jason, like, please slow down, let me out. But Jason just basically ignores him.
That would be literally so terrifying.
I know. Could you imagine? Like, what do you do? What do you do? So Matt kept trying to like point out roads like, oh, that's where my friend lives, or that's like a random house, like that's where he lives, stop and let me out, just because he was just trying to get him to stop the car and let him out of it. But he never stopped. Matt really was like, this is going to end in some major car accident, and this is where my life ends today. Like, he was petrified. Finally, randomly, Jason slammed on the brakes, and Jason jumps out of the car, and a witness said that she saw someone like tumble roll out of a car and couldn't tell if he had fallen out, was pushed out, or had jumped out. Like, it was just like all happening very fast. And then the car sped away. Matt immediately calls 911 and reported the Uber driver as an erratic driver, saying he shouldn't be on the road, no one should be riding with him, and was just like, he's driving a silver Chevy Equinox. The operator asked him, like, okay, well, do you want to make a report, or are you just telling me to tell the police to be on the lookout? Matt's like, he's driving erratically. I don't know, like, I just want you to know, whatever. And she's like, are you making a report, or are you just letting us know? And he's like, I guess I'm just letting you know to be on the lookout. Because unfortunately, there's not a lot that police can do when people call in erratic drivers, because unless they see it themselves, they can't do anything legally.
Okay.
So, because we've done that. We've called like in being like, hey, there's this guy on the road that's like swerving in and out, whatever. And it's like, well, by the time police get there, they're not going to be in that spot. And
well, true.
So all you can really say is just be on the lookout for this, car and license plate. Possibly. So it would be later reported that after he left, or Matt jumped out of the car, Jason went home and retrieved a Glock 19 9mm handgun and put on a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
So we don't know that this is happening. This is like after the fact we found out that that's what happened. But I'm kind of telling you in like all chronological order, even if we didn't find out until after the fact.
Okay.
Jason accepts another request to pick up a teenager named Maisie, who lives in Meadows Townhome Complex. As Jason approaches, this is around 5:40, he's kind of having trouble locating where Maisie lives and keeps calling and like texting her. And he's kind of mad, like, you gave me the wrong directions. And he's like agitated about it. And she's like, this is where I am. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. And so she was like writing him on the app, are you here yet? Because you know how you can see where they're at, whatever. So he pulls up and comes across Tiana Carruthers, who's just like in this complex's parking lot. Tiana is a 25-year-old mother of one daughter, and she was 8 at the time. Her daughter and some other kids had been playing outside, and they came in and asked if they could go to one of the other girls' houses. And Tiana's like, sure, I'll come out and I'll walk with you over there. So she's got this group of 6 girls walking through the parking lot when Jason comes up and asks her, are you Macy? Like, because he knows he's supposed to be there, but he doesn't know what she looks like. Tiana answers no, and he kind of seems annoyed that she's not Macy. So she then said that he speeds off.
Okay.
She's watching, like, kind of walking and talking with the girls, but watching this car as it's speeding away. And then a little bit up the road, she notices that he turns around and starts heading back in their direction at a high speed. And then at some point, I don't know when, she realizes that he has a gun in his hand as he's driving towards him. So she yells at the girls to run. Like, apparently there's some neighbor that they know that's not far right there. So she's like, run to that neighbor's house, get in the house, and no matter what, do not come back out. So they start running, and then Tiana starts running in a different direction. Jason then starts shooting and shooting. He shot 15 times, hitting Tiana 4 times, once in each leg, once in her left arm, and one bullet would later be found in her liver, where it remains today.
What?
Yes, Tiana did survive.
What happened?
I don't even know how to answer that. I will say all of the children are safe. They were unharmed in this because of Tiana's, like, quick thinking and, like, you go that way, I'm going to go this way, like, whatever. After all those rounds, she fell to the ground, and then she said that she tried to get underneath a car but realized that if she kept moving, he would keep shooting. So she then decided to play dead. So then that's when he drove away. Calls are coming in nonstop now about a shooting from people, like, all around that complex, and some are talking about this silver Chevy Equinox and blah, 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 blah. So now they've got, this is now second call about this silver Chevy Equinox.
Same car.
Yeah. Jason then speeds away and drives erratically and swipes other parked cars on the road. He runs a red light and hits another car and just keeps going. The driver of that car calls in the accident because he, like, hit him with, like, the front corner of his, like, bumper, like, you know, the light. And he's like, hey, a silver Chevy Equinox just hit my car, and kept going. And so now at least the police are like, well, now we have a Chevy Equinox with clear damage to this side of the car, so maybe we'll have an easier time spotting him.
And they know where he is too, kind of.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
The 911 operator then calls Matt, the Uber ride Melon, back and confirms, like, hey, so you called in a silver Chevy Equinox earlier, right? And he was like, yeah, I did. And he's like, because she's like, we're just getting other calls about it. She didn't, like, mention to him, like, a shooting. She just was like, we're getting other calls about a Chevy Equinox. So I'm just checking. And he was like, well, I can send you, I took a screenshot of this guy's profile. So I have, his name is Jason, and here's a picture of him. So that's going to help you. So he sends that over to them. Well, Jason is one step ahead of them because he calls his wife and asks her to meet him at his parents' house, which is not far from where he is, and asks her to bring him keys to one of the parents' cars. They were out of town at the time, so I don't know if they just had, like, everything and they were taking care of the house and had the keys in case they needed to do something, whatever. I don't know. She states that when she met him, he was acting very strange and not like himself, telling her that he was being shot at by other cab drivers because they don't like Uber drivers.
Okay.
Which is not the case, but he handed her a gun and told her to stay home no matter what and not to go to work on Monday and not to let the kids go to school. Now, this is, like, what did I say, Saturday?
Okay.
Yeah. So she's like, all right, you're acting really strange. You're worrying me, whatever. And he's like, he goes in the house, gets a different gun, a Walter 9mm, because apparently that first gun stopped, like, jammed and was not working properly when he was shooting it at Tiana.
Okay.
And then he takes a dark colored Chevy HHR. Do you know what that is? They're like,
Chevy is a car.
No, I know, but the HHR, I can't think of the car. There's another car that looks just like it and my neighbor had. And when I saw a picture of it, I'm like, oh, that's like whatever. I'm going to have to, I'll post a picture of it. But
okay.
They're very similar. They're different looking cars. Not a lot of people have them, I don't think. But anyway, so the last thing he says to his wife is, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but when you watch the 11 o'clock news, you'll know it was me.
Oh my.
Could you imagine, like, if one of our husbands said that to us? I'm pretty sure I'd be like, you're not going anywhere.
I would
Come on.
just call, it looks like a PT Cruiser.
Yes, that's what it is. PT Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks just like it, but anyway, it's not. It's
I would call the cops, I think. If my husband was like, you're going to see me on the 11 o'clock news, I think I would be like, do you guys need my husband? Because he done something bad.
Right. I know. I would like to think that's what I would do. That's not what she did. And honestly, police say like they don't fault her for anything because they're
absolutely.
like, yeah, it was strange, but she probably was not thinking that anything that
her husband had just shot a woman.
Right. Exactly. So, and like didn't think he was going to go off and do anything like that. And maybe she thought he was kidding. Like, you'll see me on the 11 o'clock news tonight, honey, or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, they don't blame her. Okay. So he proceeds to then take rides through the Uber app, multiple of them. People were confused because they thought they were getting the Chevy Equinox, but he would just explain, well, I had car trouble and I had to switch out my cars. But that nowadays would not fly. Like, I am not getting in a car that is not the stated vehicle on my app.
Like Ubering 101.
Yeah. Like, I was an Uber driver. And if I didn't have my car, I was like, I can't drive another one. Like, that's just not, like, to me, it was like, it was illegal for me to take a different car than what was stated on my profile. So it's not illegal, but it's not
preferred.
What is it? Preferred or professional.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Uber driver. But anyway.
Right.
Okay, so around 10 p.m., he spots a couple of people in the Sealy Kia dealership lot. This is Rich and Tyler Smith, a father and 17-year-old son, who were out looking at trucks together. They often went after hours because they didn't really like the pushy salesman. And so it was just like, let's just go walk around the lot and see what, trucks we like. And they just had a love of trucks. It was something they did together.
Okay.
So they also with them was Tyler's girlfriend, Alexis Cornish, and she was waiting in their car for them. She's like, I don't care about these trucks and stay here.
Yeah.
Jason parks his car somewhere in the lot, possibly behind the building, I don't know, but walks up to them and approaches them in the lot and asks them what they're looking at. And they don't even have time to answer as he just starts unloading round after round at them. And they only know that he asked this because Alexis could hear him in the car, like when she was sitting in the car, like approach them and ask them a question. So, or maybe it's Alex. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Anyway, she heard him. Then immediately she dives to like the floorboard of their car. And that saved her life because he never knew she was there. Otherwise, I think he probably would have come after her. So she like kind of peeks out and she sees him trying to open up this other car near where they were. And that door was locked. And so then he just walks away and takes off kind of behind the building. So she gets out of the car. She didn't have a cell phone at the time. She got out of the car and went and took Tyler's cell phone off his body and called police and was like, you need to hurry up and get here. My boyfriend and his dad was just shot. Like
randomly in a parking lot. Holy crap.
And they had gotten calls from like the Burger King across the street because someone heard it and could see the shots, like, like the light from the shots.
Right.
So when police arrive, she tells them what happened and that the guy had taken off on foot. Well, then the witness across the street had also said that they had seen a dark car taking off down the road. So initially they bring in the dogs and they do find a scent because they were there really quickly. So they had his scent and it did. It went to like the back of the parking lot and then it ended and they're like, well, that's where he got in a car. So then they start looking at the CCTV footage and they see a dark Chevy HHR. So now they at least know what kind of car this is. So they're looking out for this car. But they're not connecting them because one's a Chevy Equinox and one's an HHR. And nobody has said that it's the same person yet.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Because this wasn't an Uber ride. This was just he was driving after an Uber ride and saw them in a parking lot.
This man is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, unfortunately, neither Rich or Tyler survived this. They had been shot one had been shot 9 times, the other 7 times.
Wow.
Minutes later at 10:20, Jason pulls into a Cracker Barrel parking lot. He approaches an older woman in a minivan and asks if she could spare $1. And she's like, I don't have any money on me. And he opens fire on her and the other woman in the car with her. And then there's this car beside it, and the two older women and a teenage girl are in there, and they start screaming. And so he walks over and opens fire on them in the car.
Oh my gosh. This is horrific.
Yeah. Police are called, and they arrive within minutes. The two women in the minivan are pronounced dead. One in the car was also dead. One was still alive and talking and actually trying to get out of the car herself. And then they noticed a figure curled up in a ball in the front seat, and that's where they found 14-year-old Abigail Kopp, who was still alive but shot in the head. They got her in the ambulance, like in the first ambulance, knowing that they didn't have much time, if any, to get her help. The other woman that was still alive, unfortunately, did not make it.
Oh my gosh.
There's the 5 older women and now this teenage daughter, or teenage girl. Witnesses are calling in left and right, telling them about this dark Chevy HHR at the scene, blah, blah, blah. Police start tailing every dark Chevy HHR that they see on the street that night. They just follow them, call for backup, pull them over, and check the people and who they are and try and confirm that it's not the person they're looking for. Meanwhile, it's all over the news about how there's an Uber driver shooting around people and whatever, and then this HHR, because that wasn't an Uber ride either.
Oh my gosh. And so they're thinking there's a crazy Uber man on the road and a crazy mass shooter all happening at the same time.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So police said they pulled over around 8 to 9 HHRs that night, and around 12:40 a.m. an officer starts tailing one, and he calls it in, and another car comes and helps and joins him. They pull the driver over. They have him put his hands out the window, and then they decide to approach him. All this is like on their like body cam. You hear them talking like, "What do you want to do? Should we do it?" Like whatever, blah blah blah. And you see them pulling him over. So you could hear the fear in their voice when you watch these things, because they're like, we don't know when it's going to be the person that is shooting, and what if they then pull out their gun on us and whatever. So they approach this driver. The driver gets out and surrenders immediately. They frisk him and find the gun in a pocket on his jacket, and then another bullet like in a vest or in the pocket. And then they also realize that he has a bulletproof vest on, which in this video, some of the officers, you could hear like their disbelief, like, why does he have a vest on? Like, we would have sworn this would have been a like suicide by cop situation once he got caught. Like,
right.
Anyway, so they were just like, what the hell? Okay, so they take him in, and for hours they interrogate him. It's Jason, by the way. It is.
Right.
They do have the right person. He doesn't have much to say to them at all for hours. And then all of a sudden, he starts talking. And what he says, again, you can hear like the disbelief in their voices. He told police that for about a week, he had not been sleeping well, and he had only been like an Uber driver for a week. And he thought that he was possibly at about 24 hours of being awake at the point that they got him. He said from the first time he opened the Uber app, he noticed something weird. He saw an Eastern star when he opened it. And then he saw the picture of the devil. And then the app would go from red to black. It would go back, like change back and forth colors.
Okay.
When it was black, it would have full control over him. And it would tell him he could do anything, like drive 100 miles per hour, go through stop signs, shoot people, anything he wanted, and there would be no repercussions of doing it. And he also said that the app was sending him on like missions, and he had to complete them. So the app is telling him to shoot these people.
Okay.
Yeah. He sounded insane. Yeah. And he kept saying, like, I know this sounds insane. I know you're not going to believe me. I know this sounds crazy. Like, he sounded like he was just telling him a story. Police did not believe him in the slightest. And a lot of people believe that he was, like, laying the groundwork for an insanity plea.
Okay, so they believed he was making this whole thing up, not that he actually believed what he was saying. Okay.
Yes, initially. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Police look for reasons for, like, this psychotic break. Because, you know, like, people who are, like, leading somewhat seemingly like typical lives and are happy and nothing's going on, they're like, well, something happened for them to like that switch to turn. They couldn't find anything. There was no problems with their marriage, no financial issues, no major traumas had happened, like no deaths in the family. They could literally not explain.
Substance abuse issues?
Nope. No.
Wow.
They could not explain what happened to this man for it to just like all of a sudden snap. Like, he's a typical husband of 20 years, 2 kids, and a good job and good life. I mean, nothing that was mentioned in any article that I read or in the 2020. So
wow.
I don't, that at least hasn't come out if that is the case. But they like literally in that 2020, they're like, we literally have no reason for this to have happened. So he stuck by his story of the app being possessed and controlling him. 4 years he stuck up with this. At a pretrial hearing, when Tiana Carruthers testified, he had a completely erratic like episode saying things that didn't even make sense. Like, I saw a bit of this and I don't even know what he was saying. Like, none of it was even making sense. It had nothing to do with what she was saying. It was, I don't even know what he was saying. And he had to be physically dragged out of the courtroom, and he looked like terrible in that moment. Tiana was so shaken at the time. She's like crying on the stand and whatever. Anyway.
It's a miracle that she survived. She got shot 4 times.
I know. She had years and years of therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He, a year later, just before he was about to go to trial, literally, I think that was like the day or two before jury selection was happening, on January 7th, 2019, so just about 3 years after it all happened, he decided to plead guilty. And he like shocked everyone, including his own attorney. Like, and it was against all of whatever advice he was getting, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. He pled guilty to 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and 8 counts of felony use of a firearm. And on February 5th, 2019, after hearing victim impact statements from survivors and family members of the victims, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Okay.
He's currently serving out his sentence at Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee, Michigan. His wife, Carol, filed for divorce a week after he was arrested.
Yeah, she did.
She was like, nope, not going to do this.
Wow.
It was reported that after he shot all of the victims, he continued to take Uber fares for the rest of that night until he was pulled over. People would get into his HHR and ask him, "You're not the guy that's shooting people, are you?" And he'd be like, "No." Like, multiple people were on this, like, blacked out on the 2020 interview. Like, we were, like, joking. Like, we'd just come in from having drinks and we're like, "You're not the guy that's shooting everyone, are you?" And he's like, "No."
See, that would be us.
Yeah, 100%. We would have asked, like, although I don't know that I would have gotten in an HHR that night.
We definitely would not have, yeah.
I mean, I'd been like, that's a pretty significant looking car, and not many of you have that, so I'm not getting it.
For sure.
But anyway,
but it's almost like he snapped and then snapped back.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Like, when the app turned red, he came back to reality. When he was black, it had him full control. Anyway, I don't know. Our listener, Allison, who suggested it, like I said, she was out that night. She was at a bar that one of those fares was picked up at.
Stop it.
Yeah. She was like, I was out at this bar, and he picked up somebody at that bar that night. And she was like, I think she said her like husband was with her and her kids or something, because there was like this big polar plunge event that day. And so it was just like, there was a lot of people out in general that day and night. So how freaking scary is that?
That is extremely scary. And she is so fortunate. She needs to buy lottery tickets.
Well, yeah. Because I mean, he could have, I don't know. He didn't do it in like big open areas like that, but he could have easily like snapped at some point and just started shooting in like big, huge, to
Absolutely.
get more people. Yeah. So scary.
You don't know when that app's going to turn black.
Right. Exactly. He said, so I don't remember if I even have, I don't think I have this in there, but he had said, because they were like, I don't know if somebody asked him why he didn't pull out the gun when the cops pulled him over, but he stated at one point that it turned from black to red just as they pulled him over. So he put the gun down because he did have it in his hand and he was going to pull it, and then he put it down. So anyway, thankfully he did. Okay.
Why didn't he just quit opening the Uber app?
I don't know.
Like, if you know it's going to do that and control you, maybe delete the app.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
That is nuts.
Yeah. All right. So here's where I'm going to talk about the victims. So I've already told you a little bit about Tiana. She was a 25-year-old mom who survived. She had to go through many surgeries, therapy, and rehab over years. She has now become a motivational speaker and started Shiro with a message, where she shares her story of recovery and inspires others to overcome adversities. She was one of 20 finalists for the Congressional Medal of Honor Society's Citizens Honors Award in 2020. And her daughter, Kanaya, will turn 16 this year.
That was with her?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Richard Smith, so Rich and Tyler, was a 53-year-old pipe fitter. He was born June 6, 1962. He graduated from Portage Central High School in 1980 and then went on to Denver Automobile and Diesel College and then moved back to Kalamazoo in 1981. He married his wife Lori on May 30th, 1992. They had 2 children, Emily and Tyler. They were an extremely close family, and he was loved by all. Tyler was born on April 27th, 1998, and he was a senior at Matawan High School and was also attending Van Buren Technical Center for Marketing Entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Yeah. He played soccer from the age of 4 and reached premier level at 14. I don't know what that is because I'm not a soccer mom, but I'm getting that's big.
It's a big deal, yeah.
He played for his high school and traveling teams as a forward and a goalie. He had a huge heart, an infectious laugh, was a friend to everyone, and was known for his silliness and his rib-crushing hugs.
Oh.
Yeah. He shared a love of cars with his dad, and that is what they died doing together.
That is terrible.
I know. Lori, Rich's wife, has gone on to do wonderful things. She founded Forever Strong Memorial Foundation, and the purpose of Forever Strong is to strengthen our communities through remembrance, reflection, and awareness of the victims and survivors of mass tragedies that forever impacted our communities by creating a memorial consisting of several unique sections that will stand as a place of putting pieces back together for the future generations, where we can come together, draw strength, celebrate life, and grow in an atmosphere of hope and inspire one another.
Okay.
That was from their website. That's why I was...
Oh, you didn't make that up? Got it.
Make that up.
That's very beautiful.
On their website, which I will link in the notes, they share their plans for this memorial that they plan to build in Kalamazoo, and each victim, as mentioned, has a section that's like dedicated to them and represents them in some way.
Okay.
It's really super cool to actually look at, because even his girlfriend has, because they were like, she was a 9th victim. Like,
I thought of that too.
Yeah.
She witnessed it with her boyfriend, and she's so young. Oh,
yeah. And apparently there's also a soccer stadium that's going to be built in memory of Tyler.
Wow.
There too. So the older women in the Cracker Barrel parking lot were Mary Lou Nye, Mary Jo Nye, Judy Brown, Barbara Hawthorne, and Abigail Koff. Mary Lou was a 62-year-old daycare worker at a local church. She had a 30-year career in various positions with the Michigan Secretary of State and served in the U.S. Air Force Reserve for 10 years. She was married to Christopher and had 2 sons, Bart and Jonathan. Mary Jo was Mary Lou's sister-in-law. Okay. So poor Christopher lost his wife and his sister in this.
Yeah.
She was a 60-year-old retired teacher. She was a founding teacher of Calhoun Community High School, which was an alternative school. She also helped create an adult literacy program in Southwest Michigan and was president of the Literacy Council in her county of Calhoun.
Wow, 2 awesome women.
Yeah. Wait, there's more. For the other women, too. She was one of 7 children. She was a quilter, baker, active member of her church, and everyone's cheerleader.
Oh.
Judy Brown was a 74-year-old woman who was still actively working. She worked as a caseworker for an area agency on aging and was currently working at Guardian Finance and Advocacy in Battle Creek, Michigan. She had been married in college to Edwin and had 2 children with him, Jeff and Rob, and then later remarried to somebody named Curtis Brown. Barbara Hawthorne was a 68-year-old woman who had retired after 22 years of working for the Kellogg Company. She had an associate's degree in computer science and a bachelor's in education. She taught for 10 years in the special education field in the state of Illinois. So she's got a special place in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara was a surrogate grandmother to Abigail Cox.
Oh.
The 14-year-old girl shot in the rampage. Abigail loved being with Barbara and would often do things with her and her friends.
How cute.
Yes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this group of women met for dinner at the Cracker Barrel, then got into one of the cars and went to a show together, and they were coming back to the cars when he came up and shot at them.
So they all knew each other?
Yes, they were all together. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that makes that worse, but it does.
Yeah, well, that's why they started. I mean, I think they probably would have started screaming anyways, but they're seeing their friends get killed in one car. And then, so as I mentioned, well, maybe I didn't mention it, but Abigail did make it, but no one thought she would. Her parents were called to come to the hospital because they were like, she's not going to make it through the night. You need to get here soon. So they got to the hospital. Of course, all of these people are watching this on the news going, gosh, I hope our people are okay, knowing that they're all out.
Yeah, everyone come home.
Yeah. They get to the hospital, they go in to visit her, and she flatlines. And basically, like, mom is like, it's okay, don't worry, we'll be okay, saying goodbye to her. And so the doctors come in and unhook all of the machines. And then her mother laid on her chest to say her last goodbye. And she was like, I think she's breathing, and I think I feel a heartbeat. And so she called the doctors back in, and they realized she was alive and hooked her all back up again. And her mom asked her for a sign, like, let me know that you're okay, that you're in there, like, whatever. And she squeezed her hand.
Amazing.
Yeah. So she was like, I knew she was going to fight. And she did. She fought hard for years and made it through. She had many surgeries, even metal plates placed in areas of her brain that were like shattered by the bullets.
Wow.
After 2 years of rehab, she finally went back to school. There are pictures of her online attending like a homecoming dance with her date. And it's super cute. She has a hard time remembering things from her childhood, like from when she was really little. And for a while, her parents had to keep telling her that she was shot and that Barbara was dead. And so she had to keep reliving that, like that pain over and over again. But she's now doing well. There you go. There you have.
Wow.
Today's case.
And Jason's wife and children.
Yeah, I haven't.
Also victims.
Well, yes, they are victims. And I don't know what's up with them. They weren't like highlighted. So I don't know if they didn't want to participate in like the 2020 or whatever. But the only thing I've really seen is that she divorced him. That was it. So anyway.
That is terrible.
I know.
What is it? Is he a mass killer? A spree killer? What is that called?
I don't actually know. Nobody's like, I didn't read anything specifically stated that I can think of. But maybe spree. Because it wasn't mass, because it isn't mass like doing like it in a big crowd.
Bunch of people in one place, yeah.
Right. So I'd imagine spree. Like spree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For literally no reason. Random targets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's astonishing me. I mean, I feel like it's known as the Uber killings.
Oh.
And I feel like when I mentioned it to Emery, he was like, oh, you're talking about, that big, when it was out in the news. And I was like, yes, I do remember hearing it, but I never looked into it. I don't know why. I don't
remember it at all.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, but I didn't know all of this, like that, he blamed the app and whatever. Like, I didn't know all that. I think maybe I also assumed it was like people attacking Uber drivers randomly, not
okay,
one
so that's
doing.
Interesting. When I hear Uber killings, I would think of a serial killer who is an Uber driver. Yeah. 3 different ways you can see that.
Yeah.
Well, that was really sad. And you know what is even, it's not sad, but it's like, when you said Cracker Barrel, I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be older people. Mm-hmm. Because my mom loves her some Cracker Barrel.
Oh, I know. So many people. I can't stand that place, but so many people like it.
My kids like it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
They like to go with Mimo.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, which is the only time they get to go. We don't even have one here, but
yeah. I don't even know if we did.
That is so stinking sad. Jason,
I know.
What happened to Jason? No mental health, nothing. So he's not getting any mental health
Well,
treatment.
I mean, I feel like they do think there was some sort of mental, like when they said that he hadn't been sleeping for that week, so that there is something going on, but there was like nothing, no precipice for it or whatever you want to say. Like, so he might be getting some help. I don't know. Actually, I don't want to say that, but they did mention it a couple of times. Like, clearly there's some sort of mental health issue going on. We just can't figure out why it happened.
Well, yeah, and if he's saying he hasn't slept in a week, it's like, to do something like this, you would think that, okay, yeah, there's mental health, but it had to have been going on for more than a week.
Right.
Like, that's really scary. That's what that is. That's scary. That somebody can snap like that.
Yeah.
So randomly and erratic. And thank goodness those people survived. Like the first guy that got out and called. And
yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
I was thinking it too, the one Maisie or whatever.
That never got in because
he couldn't find her. Whew, quite literally dodged a bullet.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's so scary. And Allison, is that right? Our listener?
Allison, yeah.
Thank goodness you did not call an Uber.
I know.
From that bar.
I mean, I will say this. He didn't actually kill his fares.
Well, yeah.
They were all like...
That is even more crazy.
Yeah. He like took people around and then killed people in between.
Do you think that he really was like believed that the app was controlling him? Or do you think he made that up?
I don't know. I mean, it could have been if he was on 24 hours and no sleep at that point and hadn't been sleeping well all week in general, like maybe he did like believe that initially. And then maybe it got to the point where
it
like
makes sense why it's like on and off like that.
Right. You could have some sort of like psychosis if you're that tired, I'd imagine. Like,
yeah,
you know, and maybe when he finally pled guilty, it was more like, you know, maybe he at that point did know like that didn't happen. Like, yeah, at the time I thought that's what was happening, but that didn't happen. Like an app was not. And he probably didn't think anybody was going to believe him. That's speculated in there.
Well, I tend to believe him.
Yeah.
That he was truly lost it.
Yeah.
There for a minute. I don't think there's any other explanation.
Right.
Other than insanity.
Right. Yeah. 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 It was really shocking that to everybody that he decided to plead guilty. Somebody had speculated that it is possible that the attorney was like, I don't think anybody's going to believe your story. So you're probably going to get found guilty or whatever. He says like in interviews that he was shocked and it was against his advice that he pled guilty.
Right.
So I don't know.
Very interesting. Very sad. I don't like that at all.
I did not either.
No, I don't like it. I think, it's these kinds of things that scare me the most is like, this is why we don't like serial killers. This is why we don't, because they are people who are just, it's awful to say it this way, but like hungry for blood versus like a normal case, quote unquote normal, but just like one person has one target and wants that one target for whatever reason, for money, for jealousy, for revenge, for whatever, and then they kill that person and they're done.
Right.
Like that's the only person they wanted to kill. But like these cases like this, it's like it could happen to all of us. It opens it up and just get in your closet. Yeah. Get in. It is scary to me. So thank you for covering that. That was very interesting, Allison. I'm so glad that you are safe. And I feel like I'm going to be scared of all Ubers now. Yeah. I'm like flashing to CrimeCon when we go. Like, we're going to have to take Ubers. Oh no, we have to stay together.
Oh, well, heck yeah. Sharing I think mine shares with my hubby. So they'll know where we are at all times.
Absolutely. Okay, that sounds good to me. So you guys stay safe out there too. And we love you and we appreciate you. And happy Monday to you. come find us on social media, and we'll post a picture of this like PT Cruiser lookalike thing. It really does look like that. It's a very strange looking car. I think those PT Cruisers are weird too. We have a Patreon. If you like what you hear, we have a lot going on over there. Like I mentioned, we have CrimeCon coming up. So if you guys want to buy last minute tickets, come on down to Nashville and hang out with us in CrimeCon, because we'll be there for the weekend. So that would be cool. It's the end of May. And I think that's it. Except always remember, the world is scary. People suck. Hide in your closet.